Welcome to Life Insurance Today. I'm Edward Pritchett, your guide on this wonderful journey that we're all taking in this amazing industry that we call insurance. I am so excited to be joined by my friend, business partner, and just all around good guy, Mr. Brad Smith. So many things that I could tell you about Brad and what he's done in this industry, but I know, Brad, you started working with me a little over 9 years ago, 2013, I think it was March, April. In that time, you and your brother built an organization to, last year, I think you guys did just over $19 million in production in 9 years, which is crazy. Just a couple of months ago, had one of the best months ever for your team and organization, $3.3 million in production, 270, 280 riders a month, pushing for that 300 mark here really soon. And it's not just in the production aspect and building a strong agency. You and your brother pioneered some very innovative solutions for insurance agents. You found issues and problems that agents have. And I can remember you guys coming to be like, hey, we have this idea if we could solve this doing this. And I was like, oh, just sell more life insurance. But you're like, oh, well, we will keep doing that. But how about we come up with something that allows agents to dial their leads in a more automatic way? And so the Ninja Dialer was born. And it's a service that agents from multiple different IMOs are using right now to really help them reach out to clients in a more effective way. In addition to that, you have I don't know if I can talk about it, it's kind of proprietary. I know only a couple people have access to it, but a virtual mentor that allows agents to put information in on their clients, and then it tells them which carrier is best suited, right, for that particular client and what they're looking for. And I mean, the list goes on and on. You guys are always looking for new ways to really innovate in this industry and help agents out. And I'm really excited for you just to share with our audience some of the things that you've learned, a little bit about your journey, and then also just some tips that they can do. Because I know something that you've always said is that, you know, if one person can do it, someone else can, right? And that's something that you really teach and show your agents how to do exactly what you guys are doing. So just wanted to turn it over to you for a second and, you know, introduce yourself and then just tell us a little bit about, because I think this is critical for anyone looking at our industry, you know, where you were before, right? Like what was going to, because most people didn't wake up and be like, oh, I want to be an insurance agent today. Like that's not the first thing on most people's mind. So tell us a little about your background and, you know, whatever you'd like to share about, you know, you and your brother Matt coming in and doing what you guys did initially. And then as we progress, we can talk a little bit about some of the lessons that you guys have learned along the way and share with everyone how they can see the success that you've been seeing in this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to be here. And, you know, we started out in the industry, probably like a lot of people, in debt and no money and, you know, definitely didn't have a lot of resources at all. But we were resourceful. And I remember sitting down with you and I heard about your success, your lifestyle. Really what I was attracted to was your lifestyle. Because I knew that if you figured out a way to create that lifestyle where you have time, money, impact, you were passionate about what you did, I could just tell you were happy. And the people that were working with you were also happy. That stood out to me. And I said, man, as good of ideas as I think I have to acknowledge that my ideas got me where I'm at, which was broke and unhappy. You know, we had closed a business down prior to jumping in the insurance industry. It was a mattress business. We did manufacturing, we sold on the internet. We had brick and mortar stores. And in the last economic crash, that business went under up in flames. And so we walked away with about $280,000 in debt. You know, a lot of people come in the business and I've got a lot of debt, $20,000. We had $280,000 that, unfortunately, my parents had believed in us too much and they co-signed those loans.
Well, I don't know if your parents can believe in you too much, right? They knew you guys were good for it and you've made good on it since then, right?
Absolutely, yeah, we did. But there was just, you know, a lot of motivation. Like, and you know, for those that are maybe dealing with financial issues right now and you're joining the industry and it's tough, you know, it's tough because it doesn't just affect your bank account. It affected my sleep and my stressed out all the time. That pit in your stomach just won't go away. And affects your relationships and your self-image. But I think the best thing about losing everything for me was that I also lost my ego. And I was very teachable. And I remember sitting down with you, and when I realized how successful you were, I said, I am willing to do whatever you tell me to do. And that's the only thing I think Matt and I can really take credit for, is that we were hungry and humble enough to just follow the system that you laid out for us. And that's what it was. It was a great system.
Well, and let's stop there for a second, because a lot of people, as you're saying, are in that situation, right? Like they're in debt, they're trying to make ends meet. They know that their value is greater than what they're currently receiving, but they start in any enterprise, like whether it's insurance or any other small business enterprise that they're wanting to grow, but they still struggle and fail. They don't find a way to be humble and hungry at the same time, latch onto a system and move forward. I know one of the things that I've seen a lot of people struggle with is they come in with their preconceived ideas, and that's what they try to use that to get themselves started, and then they're wondering 6 months later why they're still in the same place. What allowed you guys to be able to have that kind of attitude? Because I think that's the place where, for most people, a great place to start, to be able to cultivate that attitude right from the get-go.
Absolutely. I get people all the time that get started and they want to pick pieces of the system that they like, and you're going to use that, but they're not going to use all of it. And it's like any recipe. If I'm going to bake a cake, I have to follow all the recipe. I can't say, well, I don't like eggs, so I'm not going to add eggs to the. It's not going to turn out the same. Yeah. You've got to, as long as you follow the recipe the exact way and you put it in the oven at the right temperature for long enough, it's going to turn out the same every time. And we knew that. We just needed to find the system and really a coach. I mean, that was what we were missing more than anything. We weren't missing drive, motivation. I mean, we were missing direction. We needed a coach and a mentor who had a system that we didn't have to reinvent the wheel. I mean, it's funny, like you go to a Coke machine that says $1, you can't expect to put 50 cents in and get a half a Coke. It doesn't work that way.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you can put 99 cents in and nothing's going to come out. You've got to put in the whole dollar. You've got to put in whatever system you're working. If other people are having success with it, you just follow in their footsteps, and you're going to get what they have. And so that was, for us, we needed to find the system. We also needed to find a mentor, that you became that for us, that we liked, that we trusted, that we enjoyed working with, that had way bigger. I mean, we've always had, out of all of my friends, we always had probably the biggest vision until we met you. And it's like every time we talked to you, we'd always be thinking, man, we're just thinking way too small. And still to this day, I think that. So, I think it's important to whoever that coach or mentor is for you, that they think bigger and they've got that drive that you can kind of catch, because the best things about this industry are caught, not taught. And being able to watch and observe and follow in the footsteps, that has been everything for us.
Well, and I like what you said too. Like, if someone is being successful in whatever system you're in, and whatever industry you're in, and you just follow in the footsteps, you do what they're doing, you get the coaching, you get the mentorship, you will find success. And then the other aspect of that is really checking in. And you guys, I remember you did this extremely intensely in the beginning. Like, you want, like, so yeah, we're gonna drive over and come take a look and see what you guys doing. Can we shadow you guys for a little bit? Can we digging in and finding out like what's, you want to pull and look behind the curtain. And once you did your initial due diligence, from that point on, it was, all right, let's go. Right? There was no waffling at that point in time. So now, as you're getting started, so for those new agents who they're just getting started, they've made the commitment. They're said, okay, I've got a coach, I've got a system, I'm following it. What allowed you to see that early success? Because here's the thing, in whatever kind of sales that you do, there are ups and downs. Like, I very rarely seen, and there are examples here and there, right? Like someone comes in right out of the gate, they're just writing, $20,000, $30,000 worth of premium in their first month. They're getting 90% of it issued. They're just making cash, right? That's the exception, not the rule. And I know there were times that you guys struggled, both of you struggled with that as you're getting started, and you work with agents who have struggled through that. So what advice can you give to that new agent? They're like, okay, I'm doing all the first things that you said. I got the right attitude, humble, hungry, got a system, I'm following it, I got a coach. How do I stay consistent and start seeing results in the face of the adversity that I'm going to see?
I've got a couple parts to the answer to that question. One is I made a commitment for a year. And I think it's important whenever you start something new that you make a commitment of some period of time, because if you're constantly wondering if this is the thing, if this is going to work, then every day you're on an emotional roller coaster. And there's only so much emotional capacity that we have every day. It's like a tank, it's like a reservoir. In fact, I used to imagine this in the beginning because I had so many things pulling my energy, draining my energy, things in life, things in business, and knowing that you're going to be here for a year takes a lot of that out of the equation. And I had recently, when I first started with getting in the industry and working with you, I was playing poker with my father-in-law. And this is someone I have a lot of respect for because never went to college. He's a farmer. He's got 400 acres and a bunch of cattle and chickens and no debt, owns everything. He's a multimillionaire. And just a lot of respect for what he's built. And we use the analogy of farming a lot, but he's a true farmer. He understands seasons. He understands that a season to till the soil and a season to plant the seeds, and you wait until there's a harvest. There's a period of time. There's not overnight success anywhere. And so there was a lot of lessons that I learned from him. And so we're sitting down playing poker with his friends, and they're all wearing John Deere hats and dirty boots and flannel shirts out in the country. And I'm thinking that they don't have any money. I mean, they're folding at $5 pots. And at the end, they all leave, and he said, "Would you believe that I was the poorest person at that table?" Other than me, of course. And I said, "What? You got to be kidding me. What do they do?" Because I'm trying to figure out, how do I have success? I just closed a business down. We're on all this debt. I've got to figure out how to have success. He said, the guy to the left of me made all of his money in oil. He's worth about $10 million. The guy to the left of him, he's worth about $25 million, all in farming. He's got about 6,000 head of cattle, 6,000 acres. He does international export. And the guy to the left of him just sold his car business for $200 million. And he still owns all the property and leases it back to the new owners for hundreds of thousands a month. I'm like, I cannot believe I was just at this table with all these successful people. And he said, you know what they all have in common? All of them found one thing, one industry, one thing that was worth getting good at, and they did it for long enough to become an expert. You've got to find your thing. You've got to find the industry that is it for you, that is worth getting good at. There's so many things in life that we spend time doing, and we become very good at those things that are not worth getting good at. But this is
like Candy Crush?
Yes. Video games. But this is life. I mean, so that was kind of I had already been kind of thinking, I've got to find that one thing. What's the industry I'm going to do? Because I don't want to jump ship. I don't want to have shiny object syndrome like a lot of people. They'll find one thing and it's not working fast enough, and they go start over and start over and start over. I needed to find something that was worth getting good at, that I could do long enough and become an expert. And anything is going to have challenges. There's always going to be things that you don't like about it or that are hard, which there's nothing hard about this industry. Nothing. There's not easy or hard. It's familiar or unfamiliar. So I just knew that I had to do the activity long enough until it became familiar to me. I mean, you can read all the success books on that. Success is always found on the other side of failure. You have to cross the bridge of failure enough times to find success. It's success principles. So that's part of the answer, but also I didn't have the luxury of starting over in something else. Like, as bad as things were, at least in my mind, I felt like if I don't make this work, I'm losing my family. So a lot of people, they filter everything that they do, all their activity, they filter it through this question of, do I feel like it? Do I feel like picking up the phone and dialing leads? The answer is always going to be no. Do I feel like spending money on leads? Do I feel like doing this activity? No. I didn't have the luxury of asking if I felt like it. I was going to lose my family. So, you compare, do I want to make dials or lose my family? I'm going to pick dials every single time. So it's, what are you comparing it to? It's perspective. So, I never felt like I need to quit. Like a lot of people, I really never, and part of it is because I had Matt too, and it's nice to have a running buddy like that. But, long answer to your question, but that's.
Well, and I love exactly what you're saying. Number one, setting that time limit, right? Like, fine, if your time limit is 3 months, then you better work for 3 months. If it's 6 months, if it's 1 year, but having that specific period of time that you're going to put everything that you can into it and get it done, right? And then the perspective that you were talking about, really looking at like, we talk about this as like, this is our activity. Like, is this harder than getting a shovel and digging holes
Exactly.
or herding cattle or selling cars or any of the other things that you could do? And then that last one I think is definitely key. And this matters in whatever you decide to do. Find that one thing and be an expert. Like we live, like I love the whole gig economy and the side hustle things that everybody is doing. I can remember growing up, this was back during the days where you saw all the advertisements for like Carlton Sheets and this real estate thing and like this business opportunity. Like it was all over the place, and so many people jumping from one thing to the next, never finding success in anything. But as you're saying, like find that thing that you can find, and you don't have to have the passion to start, but you have to find the passion and be committed to that thing and become an expert. That's where the wealth is made. Those gentlemen that you were talking about, they got really good at one thing. And I'm sure, guess what? Now they're diversified. Like I love when people talk to me about, oh, but Edward, I hear that you're diversified and you're doing all these other things. I didn't do that until like 2 years ago. I'd been in this industry and gotten to that point where my industry that I was an expert in was supporting me in a big way. And then I diversified. Same thing with, you look at anyone who makes it on that kind of a level, they usually have one thing that's the massive source, right? You look at all the billionaires, Bezos, Elon, Warren Buffett, right? Like all of them had that one thing that they got really good at. And then later on, when they had billions of dollars to play with, they started diversifying. I just hate seeing people, okay, I made my first $25. Okay, how can I split this up and get to 7 streams of income? Like you might want to get one stream of income working for you right now. So I mean that's great. I would like to switch gears and talk about, like you said, you had a running buddy in your brother Matt, and just wanted you to share like what that experience was like, and having a partner like that, building a business with a brother, a twin brother, and just whatever you feel comfortable in sharing. I know he passed away recently. And you still kind of you're working through the process of that, but what could you share about finding that, whether it's a brother, a family running buddy, or just finding a running buddy? Why was that important, and what is it like to be able to build a business like you've built with family?
Yeah, it's definitely the last 9 months. He passed away 9 months ago, and it's been the biggest challenge of my life. And just so grateful that I had the time with him, and that we were able to build this together, because there's times that I'm up and he's down, or he's up and I'm down, and we fed off each other a lot. And, a lot of the things I was great at, he wasn't as good, and he had strengths I didn't have. So it was just a really, really awesome partnership. And it was cool, being twins, But, I think back to the other second biggest challenge in my life, which was closing that mattress business down that we had, and being in all that debt, and then making this transition here. And I bring that up because those are the 2 times in my life that I had a complete identity crisis, where who I was, who I knew myself to be, was no longer that way. And I know there's a lot of people, maybe you didn't lose a brother, but maybe you've lost a business or a job or relationships. And a lot of times they define you. Like for 10 years we ran a business, and that was who I was. Mm-hmm. So when that was gone in a day, it's like, man, now who am I? Who do I? And so you're kind of reinventing yourself. A lot of people coming into the industry for the first time are at that place that they're reinventing themselves. And so that's where I found myself the last 9 months. And it was about 4 months ago that I remember calling Marlon Faulkner, one of my best friends, and I said, man, it's so hard for me to think about the future because everything that I knew about my future had Matt in it. Mm-hmm. My entire vision of my future involved Matt. And but I feel like I really need to start reimagining a bright future. It's going to be different, but a bright future. And man, that just encouragement to anyone who's kind of in that place where you're not sure who you are, you're not sure where, like, spend time dreaming. I mean, I have spent lots of time just thinking about the details of different areas of my life, business, personal life, physical, just every area of my life. What do I want that to look like in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? And when you do that, when you spend that time doing that, it starts to get exciting, And and you start finding motivation. So when you can then attach this exciting vision, and I always like to set my vision, like goals and stuff, I always like to set big, exciting goals that I'm not even 100% sure I can hit. Mm-hmm. Like questionably obtainable. Those are the kind of goals that wake me up out of bed.
I like those too.
Yeah. Like it's got to be big enough and exciting enough that make you want to do the work. And it actually turns the same work that felt like work. It felt like, you don't really enjoy it. But all of a sudden when you attach this great vision of your future to it, and you have this association, all of a sudden it doesn't feel like work anymore. I remember starting this business, it didn't feel like work. Every day we loved what we did, we were growing and it was exciting. We had all these agents coming on board and they were having success. People that had never had success were all of a sudden, making 10, 20, 50, 60, 70, $100,000 a month. Man, that's exciting. So, it's been a challenge, but I think that's a lesson that everyone can learn, that if you're at a place where you kind of feel stuck, spend time dreaming and really kind of getting that clear vision of the future for yourself.
And once they've done that, once they've done the dreaming, how do you translate that into the action steps? How do you move from, because there's some people that will just dream all day, right? Like we love the vision boards and go get a Rob report and you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna get that one day. But how have you been able to translate that energy that you're getting from that dreaming, that vision casting, that goal setting into the actionable steps? That's
such a good question. So important. That was one of the things that I was missing before I met you. I'm great at dreaming. I can think of a great future. The house that I want, and the vacations and the travel and the lifestyle. But the things that don't come very naturally to me are those day-to-day, that schedule, and that's what you helped me with, having a master's degree in chemical engineering from Yale. Like I needed your analytical component that was missing for me. And so the things that I'm doing as I reimagine the things that I want, the life that I want, you have milestone goals, and then we do it's called an L10. We set annual goals, quarterly rocks. We work a weekly to-do list. We get all of my admin employees. We all get together every week, and are we on track? So you've got to have a process. You know what you're chasing, but you have a process, and to measure, it's something you can measure regularly. We have key performance indicators that are the most important things in our business that we want to measure and grow. We set goals around those things. So just having a process,
Yeah, and that's so important. That the process is key to being able to move from vision, dream, goal to reality, right? Like that's what separates those two. And I've definitely seen you over the past 9 years just get very good at implementing that. Even, I think we went together when we started to learn about the EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, which is where those L10 meetings come from. And I've recommended that to multiple other people who are now using that as well, to really turn their small business into more of an enterprise type business, and that's what it allows you to do. So, well, as we get kind of to the end of this, I know everyone here is getting a little hungry. We got dinners coming up, but I wanted to ask a couple of more questions. Some short answers right there at the end, just a couple things that you would recommend. But what do you see next for the Smith Agency? What are you excited about for your organization, but then also for the industry? Because I know you track the industry very well, and this industry has grown tremendously over the past couple of years. I think looking back in 2021, there was an 18% growth in $1 trillion worth of life insurance that was done in 2020. It still grew by 18% in 2021. I mean, there's just a ridiculous amount of volume that's out there. That's why this is geared not towards any one group in particular. This is for everyone in the industry, because if our industry continues to grow like this, as my father always says, the rising tides raise all ships, right? So what are you excited for, both for your agency, but then also for the industry before we wrap up today?
I'm excited about a lot of things. We've got more momentum in the Smith Agency than we've ever had. We're kind of at a place, like, because of COVID, I was pretty scared when that happened. I didn't know what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And we were able to shift. Your agency, our agency together, we made a fast shift to virtual. And I would say 70% of my agents are still running virtual, and they're not going back. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you can make 6 figures a year, never leaving your house, wearing a polo and your boxers.
Please stop wearing the boxers, people. Please stop doing it. I know it's cool, but just put some pants on.
But it forced us to rethink about how we do business. And the insurance industry as a whole, it's an old industry, and it's slow to change. And there's a lot of change that's happened in the last couple of years because of COVID with carriers. And so I see technology being a huge part of the future. Mm-hmm. Which is one of the things I'm excited about with Ninja is the tools that solve big problems that agents don't want to deal with. Mm-hmm. And I see that helping us and really anyone, agents, grow their business, scale it, using tools. I think leads are going to be changing. I think evolving to more digital leads is going to be a big part of the future. So we're just kind of leaning into those things, digital and technology, and selling remotely.
So where do you think, let's not go too far out, 3 years from now, what's the Smith Agency going to be doing in 3 years?
That's a good question. This year we'll do over 30 million.
Okay.
I think...
So wait, before we just cruise over that, last year you did 19 and you feel like you're going to be doing 30 million in 2022.
Yeah, we're on a run rate for over 30 million. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It really is. I mean, it's exciting, But I think in 3 years, if we can maintain that kind of growth, we could be looking at 75 million a year, 60 to 75 million, which would be pretty nice.
Not too shabby.
You're there now, but
that will be your. So this year will be your 10th year.
Yeah.
Or no, next year, 2023 will be your 10th year. So if you guys get to that point where, a year from now you're doing 45, 50 in 10 years, and then 3 years from now, 75. I love the sound of that. So it's so exciting, and it's exciting to see the speed that things are progressing too, right? Like there was a lot of things that were very incremental 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 10 years ago. And I think that technology component, the changes with the carriers, this move to virtual has allowed things to happen even faster for those that are taking advantage of it right now. That's awesome. So last couple of questions, and these are just kind of quick questions, but if you had to recommend your favorite podcast or book right now, what would you recommend to anybody watching to help them grow and build their business?
Good question. So many good ones. There's a few books that I recommend, and I've read them multiple times, and one of them, Think and Grow Rich has got to be in the top 3. Secret to the Millionaire Mind to me has been a book that...
T. Harv Eker?
Yeah. Just the 17 wealth principles and learning to think like a wealthy person. Raising your financial thermostat, because all of us have grown up with certain ideas that we have a certain belief of what we're worth. And we have to be able to think differently, think like a wealthy person before we can do it. So that would be a book. And then another one for me that has been really impactful is E-Myth Revisited. That book was recommended to me 3 times in 1 week by people worth between 100 million and $1 billion. And so I said, okay, I gotta read it. And at different stages in my business, I've read it, and I've gotten completely different things at those stages. And it's really about understanding what it means to be an entrepreneur, not just getting into an industry because you're a photographer, you love photography, so I'm going to start a photography business. There's a lot more to running a photography business than just taking pictures. So understanding how to think about your future and your business in 5 years, and the roles that are going to have to be played, and the hats that people are going to have to wear. And, so I would say probably those would be my top 3 right now.
All right. Well, I so appreciate you taking the time this evening. If they want to follow you, subscribe to anything that you're doing, get more information about Ninja Dollar, we'll put it in the bottom of the comments here, but where can they find you?
NinjaDollar.com, the website.
Pretty easy.
Yeah. And I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
All social media. Yeah, we'll have all the links below so that you guys can follow this guy, learn more from him. I know he puts out a lot of great information. That's what I'm loving about the industry right now, is you're seeing so much more information just being shared, because what we're seeing is the pie is pretty huge. And there's no way we're gonna cut into any, if someone's telling you we're gonna cut into someone else's bit, that's just not happening right now. More and more people have awakened to the realization that it's time to take care of my family. It's time to create legacy. And the insurance industry has been doing that for hundreds of years. And they're looking for people to help them do that. So hopefully this has been able to help you. You've taken some things away. Really, I would recommend go back and listen to some of those key points that Brad was making as he shared with you on this. If you implement those things, you will start to see changes in not just your business, but in your personal life, in your relationships. This isn't just business advice. This is just life advice. Any last words you want to share with everybody before we sign off?
I just can't tell you how much I appreciate you. I tell you off camera too a lot, but you've just completely changed my life in so many ways, not just business, but personal too. And just the example that you have shown me, just can't thank you enough.
Well, appreciate you too, sir. Yeah. Thank you. You guys continue to tune in. Life Insurance Today. We'll be coming out with our next episode soon. Be blessed and take care.